think we are. Are we live, Rachel?
Yep.
Hi, Tammy.
Hey, Cecile.
Welcome to Just Another Button Company. And we're here today to talk to you about our next Button Lovers Club, Words with Buttons, and the word is boom. And in case you're wondering, these great signs that we always have behind us, Tammy does those in the last 5 minutes before we broadcast today. We are so lucky to have her. Okay, so this box, the Bloom box, woo, go flying, was inspired by Smitten. It's this new fabric line from Moda. It was designed by Bonnie and Camille, and they have used their signature colors, the aqua and the red, and they combined it with navy and green and white, and there's some taupe in there, so lots of neutrals, lots of fun colors. And we were smitten with this fabric and decided that we wanted to use it to do a box, and Bloom seemed the perfect name because of the flowers that are featured on there. Step off and step on. Okay, so this is one of the fabrics from Smitten. Do they say it best here, Rachel, or should I? Okay, so this is one of the floral fabrics, one of the signature prints in there, and we made buttons that we just pulled the colors and the images, and we added some of our own shapes, and it looks like the flowers were just picked right off of the fabric.
Why don't you show it in
Right here?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's where we started, and then you know we have to have, oops, there's Elliot, our associate producer back there. And you know we have to have hand-dyed buttons to go in the box also. So we went with medium tones this time, and we did an aqua color and a peach color, and because they're mediums and we don't usually do mediums, it was a fun time to come up with a new name. So when you open your box, you're going to find Bloom.
Go up a little higher.
Up a little higher.
Yeah.
Bloom, Words with Buttons, a picture of your projects, and inside your box you have a party pack of aqua chalk, a party pack of peach chalk, those are the names for the buttons, they dye buttons, and your Bloom pack, there's your word, and all of the special handmade buttons that we made to go with this.
You want to hold it down in front and I'll show
Okay.
it.
Right,
So the chalk name is signifies that it's a new mid-tone.
Right, right, exactly.
So it kind of falls in between the colors that you have
Exactly.
already.
Tammy, would you pull out the alphabet pack that's inside the box and show it a little closer? I'm gonna have to zoom in just a little bit. All right, that's a little better. Okay.
Okay, so we'll put that over here. We've got a peek inside the box. Okay, so Tammy, would you want to explain to people how, if they've not signed up yet for this Bloom box, is there still time to sign up, Rachel?
Until the 20th.
Until the 20th.
If they want the Bloom box, they can sign up until the 20th.
Until the 20th.
Yes.
And any other boxes from the previous ones, and it's for Nest and Cheer. The Cheer box was last. There's limited quantities of those still available, and they're available first to people who are signing up now for the
Yes.
Bloom box.
But once they're gone, they're gone.
That's right.
They're limited
right.
editions.
And that's because we're busy making buttons for the next box, which we're already getting excited about, but
Very excited.
no hints on that yet.
No,
No
we're not
hints on
gonna
that
tell.
yet. Okay, so today we are supposed to be talking to you about the new pillows. This is
B is for button.
B.
Or B is for
B
blue.
is for Bloom. It could be buttons too, but
B is for
that would be
beautiful.
the B is for Bloom, and we used the Smitten fabrics, of course, and took a B from the alphabet block, button block alphabet by Tammy Totoro. Yes,
Hand drawn. We designed that specifically for this
right, for this series.
to put buttons on.
It fits perfectly inside this. This is our standard size block right here that finishes off at 6 inches once it's got seams on it, although by adding the border on there you can make it even more interesting. And we call this button applique, where we sew the buttons over the top. And then we have some little tricks for making layered buttons over top of it. Some of them are faux sewn.
Faux
And
sewn.
you just posted that JABC Stitch School.
Yes, just
And
yesterday.
to show people how to do that, where it's so easy to add extra layers of buttons on there, and it's not difficult, not fussy to do at all.
Mhm.
And we also show you how to sew on the bottom layer of buttons over there, and it's so easy to do in the pillow that's already stuffed, because you might be a little bit worried about having all these layers on here. How am I going to turn my pillow right side out? Not a problem at all. No.
Frankenstitch that.
That's right.
That's right.
Frankenstitch. On the back, we left it open and monster. On the back there, you can see the Frankenstein stitches on the back because it hasn't been covered up yet, although that's really easy to do. So be sure you see all of the.
Yes, so we have the core tutorials of things that we use again and again on all these projects. And if you go to justanother.buttoncompany.com/stitch school, you'll find those. And we're continuing to film more of them because we have just a whole library of things we want to share with you that we use again and again, and we think that you're going to really enjoy those.
Right.
Anything that makes your crafting a little quicker and easier.
Right. Right. And you never know what we're going to come up with, because
That's
I
right.
wanted to show you this. We need a little easel for this pillow. And look at this. Isn't this so clever? Rachel came up with that just because there was a plastic fork handy, and you can, voila, arrange your bowl filler pillows. And we know we are all collecting those now. Quilted
Yes.
ones, stitched ones. Okay, and speaking of bowl filler pillows, here's the next one. This is our little button applique pillow.
Yes.
And if you go to our blog, you'll be able to get the pattern
Yes.
for the flower and the leaves. And the bloom buttons are in your little Words with Button pack that we saw in the box. And we showed you how to sew all those buttons on. And we used one of our little tricks for putting that flower button in the center there on top of the other button. There's a special glue that Tammy has shown us that is perfect for attaching one button to another. Can you give them the name of that?
Thermoweb makes mixed media glue, which is really great for gluing two different types of materials together.
Right.
They have fabric fuse, which is great for fabric to fabric. I love that glue. And then they have mixed media glue, which will glue fabric to button or button to button,
Right.
and dries pretty quickly. So
And where did you buy yours? You got it online, didn't you?
you can get it, I believe, at most of the box stores.
Okay.
And I've seen it in some fabric stores, and you can always shop with Thermoweb on their website
Right.
as well.
And if you go into your local quilt store too, it's quite possible that they have their
Yes.
own favorites for attaching those layers together, because we do like to support the independent shops when we
Absolutely.
can. Okay, so now we've seen the button monogram, and we have seen the applique pillow, and then
Let's point out
What?
that the button applique pattern is included with the kit. You know, we run a tutorial each day on the blog, and that pattern is included. The button monogram, the B applique, is separate. That's in the button block pattern that you
Right.
can download online. You can get that either on my website or at Fat Quarter
right, you
Shop.
purchase these patterns
purchase that
for
one.
the monograms, but then we tell you how to put the pillow together.
Yes, so the project sheet for that one is going to tell you how we used that pattern to complete this project. We've seen a couple of people be a little confused about that in our
Right.
Facebook group, which everyone can join, Button
Right.
Lovers Club on Facebook. So there's been some confusion. So each month we do a button monogram that uses the additional pattern. We do a button applique, which we include the pattern for.
Well, not exactly include, because it's not in the box.
Correct, it's in the printable tutorial.
But it's free to everyone who joins the club and reads our blog.
Yes. And then
And then there's
The
one more
final one,
project.
yes.
Right. Every month we choose a pattern from the Splendid Sampler book.
book one.
Book one, that's right. And each one of the blocks is a book full of 100 quilt blocks, and each one is designed by someone different. This one is called Vintage Flower Basket, and it was designed by Pam Vieira McGinnis, And we have permission from the book authors to use these patterns. You'll find this one on page 70, and we've interpreted it by using the pattern for the flowers in the basket, and then we added some trim here on the suggestion of the pattern designer, and added some extra buttons on the top and turned it into a pillow. Now, in order to make this particular project, you're going to need to have the Splendid Sampler book.
Yes.
But then the directions for adding all the other elements and making it into the pillow, those are all free to anybody who reads our blog and joins the Button Club. Okay, so there was one more thing we were going to talk about with this particular pillow, and I'm going to move this over to the side. And Rachel, is this in the right spot for people to see it up close? We wanted to talk a little bit about the basket handle here. And while we're talking about it, before we talk about it, why don't you show them your two special pillows that you brought today?
Okay. If you follow me, you know that I love wool applique. So we thought it would be fun to show you this pattern also done in wool. So this is my interpretation, and you'll see photographs of this on the blog. I finished it, or I followed the pattern just like Rachel did, but I used the different fabric and of course changed up my colors. And instead of spreading out my flowers, I layered them. And of course I embellished my basket with this wonderful blooming heart, which is my favorite new button out of the box.
But I see you used
I used Rick
suggestion.
instead.
That's
Yes.
what's suggested by the author of the block, right?
And I love Rick Rack anyway because it's very old-fashioned feeling to me, and since it was a vintage pattern, I wanted to stick with that vintage feel.
Tell us about the where you got the materials that you used.
Oh, I used Weeks Dye Works wool. That's my favorite wool, and we'll have the colors that I used on the blog post that features both of these, but it's all Weeks that I used, and of course the buttons from the kit.
That's our very favorite over-dyed wool.
Yes, it's my favorite. It's almost velvety. It's just
And the
so
colors,
beautiful.
because they're over-dyed, they just go so well. They, with the hand-dyed buttons, they just, I don't know, they were meant to be together. I
Yes,
think.
I agree. I agree. I'm a little linty, but there's my Frankenstitch finish on the back. I go ahead and always cover mine with a patch.
Oh yeah, you
Yes.
always finish yours.
I always
but-
finish mine.
Yeah.
So, and then I like to jump in and join the fun and add a free pattern for the club members too. And this is just me because I'm a Button Club fan as well. So
Well, just put that one down there and let's just feature that for a minute.
So this one is wool as well, and in the pattern for this one you'll have the flower and leaf shapes and the step-by-step instructions showing how I made the lattice background. And I thought it was really interesting as I was working with this set of buttons. I'm a clay button fan, and I always use clay buttons on all my pillows and projects. But this time, I just love the colors of these buttons so much that I focused on the dyed buttons. And a fun thing, I think, with these, are you pulling those out?
I'm doing that.
So this is the way you may look at the peach button or the flower-shaped button and see that as the front. But you'll notice I actually flipped them over and used what probably would be considered the back. And I love that because it's a softer, more subtle look. You can see that if I had it this way, you would really be focusing on that flower. But if I use it this direction, you just kind of get the hint.
Just like a shadowed shape.
Yes, yes, so it's very subtle. It doesn't take the attention away from my main focus, and just adds a nice little hint.
Right.
Let's see, where's that other button?
Oh my goodness. Let's see.
Oh,
This
there's
is-
so many good ones in the party pack.
Yeah.
That's probably the hardest part, is deciding
Right.
which to use. So this one, if you can see,
I call that the ruffled button.
the ruffled. Okay, that's a great name for it. It has this very dominant, like,
Surface texture.
yes, it's very frosted there. So if you flip it over to the back, you can see it almost becomes kind of gradient and very soft. So that's what I used for the teal, was the back side of that one. And then, of course, on the flower, I flipped it over.
But I see you couldn't resist adding
I-
one clay button
I
on
couldn't
there.
resist the bee. Anytime I can work a bee in, I add a bee.
Well, we did talk about how in the button pack here, the bloom pack, for the words with buttons, how we took the flower shapes from the fabric, but we did have to add a bee to that too.
Yes.
So
Always
the
need
little
a bee.
clay polymer bee is in your button pack with your club shipment also. Okay.
Okay, so
So
you started to talk about
right,
the-
we
the
got.
twill.
I wanted to be sure and show what it looks like with the rickrack for the handle right there, and that is very easy to sew down just because rickrack is woven on a bias. It just bends just perfectly. But Rachel, who loves aqua, found that we had in our stash this lovely spool of aqua twill.
Did you say that was from Adorn It?
It was from Adorn It, yes. Carol Lee said, here, I bet you can use this for something. And it's been sitting on the shelf and we've been waiting for just the right thing. But of course, it came up.
I think
So Rachel wanted to use this for her handle. And like any other straight woven thing, there's a little bit of give in this, but it's not bias like the rickrack is. And so there was going to need to be something done to make it travel around the curve of the basket. So we figured out how to twist it like this, and just over and over again, and go around, and we made a twisted handle basket, and that sort of reminds me of the old vintage basket
Absolutely.
handles anyway.
It's so clever.
Right. So in the instructions, it tells you to secure one end and then start adding the handle on there. So Rachel used the thermoweb glue and just lightly tacked down her first corner, and then she twisted and added a pin where she wanted it to bend, and as she added each little bit of dimension to it there, she added a pin, and then she went back and sort of fluffed, moved it around so that the little bends were an even distance apart like this. And then before she had the buttons on there, she's putting the handle on, of course, she took her iron and flattened it. Now it didn't make it perfectly flat, of course, so she's got some dimension going on here, but she liked the way that looked. So it's a little bit flattened down so that this doesn't take away from the rest of the block. And then we've gone back and added some little tacking stitches
So smart.
to finish it
So
on there. Add the buttons on the surface, and it's perfectly embellished.
I have to say that Rachel's stitching on her cut and applique just always is so impressive. She is so good. And you guys, when you look at the pictures on the blog, you need to zoom in and look at her stitching close.
Right, she's a
it
fan
is-
of that raw edge applique where
It's
you
beautiful.
just edge stitch. But we like the Aurifil thread, and she's got a really good selection of colors. So she just picks one that, like, she's got green thread on the edge of the leaf. And because these are fun projects, they're meant to be displayed. And the next month, maybe you want to give this one to your best friend because next month you're going to make something different. So,
Oh, it's so hard to give them away.
yeah,
It's
right.
so
But
hard.
it's not a project you may want to keep forever. So it's okay that you don't do the needle turn applique on there. We all know that you can do that, but these are supposed to be fun and fast.
Absolutely.
Easily done by everyone. And we like the Lazy Girl Designs line of fusible applique, fusible web, and then she's also got a layer of, is it called fusible fleece in the back?
Dreamy fusible fleece.
Dreamy fusible fleece behind there too, and that gives the surface a nice smooth finish, and it makes it really easy to sew the buttons on.
Well,
That's
I'm
all.
a fan of Rachel's work, so she does beautiful work. And, well, it's a great collaboration, because on this one, I know that Rachel did the sewing, she did the piecing and the sewing, and that
Right.
Cecile came in and did all the
Right.
buttons, so it's always fun to see how they collaborate together.
And when we get ready to do an applique shape too, usually she calls me into question. She thinks she can't draw. I'm not sure that I agree with
I
that.
beg to differ.
Yeah. But I also wanted to show people too how many buttons are in these packs, because
There's a lot of buttons.
there's a
in
lot of
that.
buttons in there. We showed you how to make 3 pillows, but you can make more than these 3 pillows because there's easily more than 50 buttons And that's just the peach.
Well, and all the 3 Just Another Button Company pillows, the ones that are done in cotton, use only the buttons in the box, no extras,
Right.
and they don't duplicate, so you can see how far those buttons go.
Right, right. When Tammy says we don't duplicate, that means that on the clay buttons, I really wanted to use this little green aqua button on the flower basket, but I didn't, because in your box you're only getting 1 of the small ones. So I made sure that you can make all 3 of these projects just with the buttons.
I love that, because
In
it
your
really
box.
demonstrates just how much you can do with these button packs, and still have spares.
And still have spares, right? Right,
To fill
okay.
your bowls with. They make great little bowl fillers too, don't they?
They do, they do. I had company and I didn't want to clean off my sewing table at home, so I just scooted everything to the back and I filled the bowl with the pillows from last month. You remember how we did the cheer buttons, but then we had the alternate one that said it's sew, and put that bowl of pillows up there, and that's all anybody looked at. They didn't look at the mess by my sewing machine. Okay, so you're going to get bloom, and you're going to get all of these little floral shapes.
Now these are exclusive,
bee.
the clay buttons, these are brand new designs, and they're exclusive to the club right now. Will they be available to people afterwards?
Yes.
Open stock.
We discovered that there was just a little hole in our product line for the clay buttons. We have lots of pastel ones. We have lots of darker, deeper tones that are sort of primitive colors, but we didn't have a range that was the bright, cheery colors that are so popular right now on fabric. So we're going to add these onto our
Awesome.
offering.
Because
Right.
honestly, I was afraid to use mine because I didn't want to use it up. I
Oh,
might,
no,
you
but
know,
you can get more.
I
You can
can
get
get
more.
more. Well,
Okay.
that's good news for everyone.
All right, so here's the button applique on the B shape, and you
For
can
the
see.
folding one.
I'm sorry.
With the pillow for the fold.
Oh, okay. You can see just how many buttons are on there, and look how many there are here. You could easily make 2 pillows like that,
Absolutely.
or you could put 2 initials, or make someone's monogram 2 blocks side by side, just using the aqua ones. And if you mix the 2, even more.
And I love that how you accented this lower corner, like those little flowers are blooming right out of there.
Right, and I really wanted to put the red ones on here too, but we'd already put the red ones on a different project, so. Okay, so that is bloom.
It's pretty, pretty. It's so happy.
Yeah, we are smitten with bloom, I think, at this
Absolutely.
point. And
Absolutely.
don't forget about these great wool projects too, that Tammy will be showing on her blog.
So-
what's your blog address?
TammyTutterow.com.
Very good.
You can spell Tutterow just about any way you want, and it'll still get you there.
Okay.
The project download sheets for the club members and visitors to our blog begin tomorrow.
Okay.
They run all weekend long through Monday. So you'll see, I forget which one is first, I think maybe button applique. But all weekend long we'll have that inspiration for you on the blog.
Okay, but
And there's a blog post that gives the instructions, and then there's also a link to download a PDF,
okay.
so you can save that.
Okay, so if you want to sew along with us, you need to purchase your smitten fabric.
That was a layer cake.
Which is now available in stores. And yes, a layer cake is enough to do the pillows that we show. We purposely, just like we do with, you only need the buttons in that box. You can make everything out of 1 layer cake. And we use different fabrics on the back than we do on the front. Just to make the best use of the layer cake.
Well, it
Okay.
makes it fun too.
So you need your box of buttons, you need your layer cake of fabric, and then you just need to read our blog,
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
Okay.
And join the Facebook group.
And don't forget to join
And
Facebook.
join the Facebook group.
Right.
We've got it's growing every day. It's wonderful, and people are sharing the projects they're making, and it's so inspiring. And several I've looked at and I thought, oh, why didn't we think to do it that way? Because they've just really changed up
Right.
our ideas and
Right.
taken them even further.
Right.
So it's really
Right.
exciting.
Right, and people are commenting too on our stitch school. I know my friend Judy, who is probably watching today, she said that she uses a technique where she folds the thread before she threads a needle and sews through the loop of that. And I thought, I'm going to go try that, because that's probably something
Clever.
that we should show with people,
Very
show
clever.
people for sewing on buttons too, because that Sounds like
think
we'll make it even
See a
easier.
new episode of Stitch School
Well, I
coming.
think so too. So thanks, Judy. Okay, I think that's it for today.
Okay.
Okay, and Rachel will be back next time.
Yes.
And thanks for joining us. Bye.